Welcome back everyone to theCUBE's live coverage here in Paris. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. 2 days here at the Raise Summit in Paris where all the leaders are coming together to talk about the future of AI and all the infrastructure going on, all the enablement, the value creation, value extraction. This market is hot. The data is going to be unlocked. That's the core story here in the value. We've got a great guest, Vipul, Prakash, co-founder and CEO of Together AI. Hot company, couple years old, providing the kind of capabilities that's going to help everyone kind of go that next level. Vipul, thanks for coming on theCUBE, appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So first of all, we were chatting before we came on camera. I want you to explain what you guys do because we're in a market where, you know, there's always the picks and shovels conversation, but there's a real appetite for horsepower because if everything's open and accessible, the thesis is you need more horsepower.
Right.
So you're in that business. So explain what you guys do, when you started, some of the stats, and we'll get into it.
Sure, yeah. So Together AI was founded almost 3 years ago now. When I returned, we have our 30-year anniversary on Thursday. And really we describe Together as an AI acceleration cloud. And we accelerate workloads from large-scale training of models to large-scale inference. Now we really believe that generative AI will be the digital mechanism of the world. This is really like early days of this technology, and as you said, it requires incredible amount of horsepower, but it also requires optimization of of these workloads, which are really computations happening in the GPU. We excel at that. We do a lot of hardware, software co-optimization to really extract as much out of GPU computing as possible.
Yeah, we're in an age now where you're seeing a lot of CapEx investment, a lot of adoption on the enterprise side, certainly the hyperscalers and what you guys are doing, your provisioning gear. What are some of the key things that are happening now in the hardware? Because the hardware software integration is impacting robotics, impacting enterprise, it's impacting how people are, one, spending their money to provide the application developers who are coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to move from SaaS, evolve to agentic, which is going to feed more reasoning, more horsepower is going to be needed for more data. So this is kind of everything's a data AI show these days. So what's the configurations that are hot right now? What are some of the things going on in your world as you guys tune the machines?
Yes.
And then what do I got to tune on the software side, because that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I would say this has been one of the sort of fastest areas of growth in silicon in the last few years. Just 3 years ago when we started, the best GPUs were these GPUs called 3090s produced by NVIDIA for gaming use cases. And today you have these massive supercomputers. We just brought up our first Grace Blackwell 200 cluster in Memphis, which is incredible. It's got 1.4 petaflops of compute on a single rack. So what's happening is that in AI, these computations are really supercomputer computations. So all the machines in a data center, they participate in a single training computation. So you can think of these massive data centers as a single computer, really. Yeah. And hardware design has progressed to make the interconnectivity between servers, between the chips, really, really fast. And as Jensen says, you can transfer the entire data off the internet in a few seconds.
Yeah. So you guys are AI accelerated cloud.
Yes.
You're a cloud service.
And we just focus on generative AI workloads.
Got it, okay, so talk about the open source angle here. We're seeing a lot of activity in open source. Meta has done a great job. You're seeing a lot more developers coming in. Inference and fine tuning is a hot area.
Correct.
So talk about the AI acceleration. You got the hardware, you guys building the capabilities. Open source is driving a lot of action. The fine tuning, custom models, this is kind of the progression we're seeing. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we are big believers in open source. We provide a model platform that has 200 open source models that are ready to use. And you can use them directly as they are, or you can fine tune them or do reinforcement learning on them to adapt them to your use cases. And this produces gives you a lot of control over how these models behave for your particular application. And it also provides the best sort of price performance possible.
So on the inference and fine tuning, last year was the year of the killer app as inference. We're seeing a lot more about multi-step. We saw DeepSeek came out. We're seeing a lot more software innovation, taking advantage of the hardware step-ups and capabilities.
Yeah, now you have reasoning and test time compute in inference, which really allows models to think about what they're saying and sort of self-correct themselves, which has massively reduced the sort of hallucination problem that generative AI models have. And you're seeing, larger and larger models being built, and they're also being built more efficiently so that they can run, at inference time, they're activating only a small number of parameters in the model so that they can do more inference, pass more tokens in real time.
So talk about your business. I mean, obviously we're seeing the core weave, these clouds that are specialized like what you're doing, having great uptake because the demand for, how do I say this, price performance, people don't want to just write a blank check. They want to get their arms around the data.
Absolutely, yeah.
They want to put the use case. They want to go the end-to-end workflows. They want to get that intellectual property unlocked so they're going out and probably coming to you. Who are your customers? What's the use cases? Where's the uptake?
Yeah,
momentum?
one thing I would say is that AI computing is fundamentally quite different, and the cloud architectures for AI are also very different. It's really different from the data center up. The amount of power density per rack is very, very different from CPU computing. The type of silicon, the type of software layers that sit on top of the silicon, and then the type of workload. So it's a very different sort of framework and a different product, which also then motivates different pricing and packaging. So our customers now, obviously AI native companies are some of our top customers. I would say about 80% of our business today is AI native companies. Some of these companies are growing 10% weekly. Their growth rate is immense. They're companies which are doing generative media. These are companies that are doing robotics. These are companies that are doing designing new forms of language models. And then you have a layer of applications on top of this, from customer support to healthcare to back office automation, data processing. All these applications are finding incredible users with generative AI.
It's interesting. We're living in an era now where developers never really had supercomputing as a service.
Right.
And it's like, wow, wow.
You can just tap into these clouds and get supercomputers.
This is phenomenal, and this is kind of going to change the entrepreneurial landscape. You're seeing startups
absolutely
come out of the woodwork. Then you go to the enterprise. They haven't seen this kind of performant IT in generations.
Right.
Dell's all in on the AI factory. I saw NVIDIA with them doing a thing. But they're just hardware. You got to have software to run on. We got to have a stack.
Right.
This is where we're seeing on the enterprise side a real gap.
You need orchestration. You need,
what's the gaps?
Observability. There's also a lot of failure in this hardware. It runs at a very high thermal load, so that sort of the fault tolerance layer is really, really important. Being able to mix and match workloads. You're trying to get. This is very expensive hardware at the end of the day, and you're trying to really get maximal performance and utilization out of it. So when your inference is not running, you want to be training and doing RL. When your inference loads are high,